Hey guys, welcome back to the Something New show where we like to learn how to live a life worth celebrating. I'm Mindi Linscombe, your host, and it is literally my joy to finally get to meet for the first time ever, but I've been admiring from afar, Demi Tebow. So thank you for being in the studio today, Demi.
Thanks for having me, Mindy. I feel like we could just be sitting having coffee. Fun fact, this is actually my nursing chair that got moved into my office because the other one is sitting somewhere else at the moment, but I feel like it works.
Well, you're doing an awesome job juggling it all, and you have the most beautiful baby. I hope it has been a joy to have that in a season where I know you lost your dad, and it's just like it's such a mix of emotions, right? To go from the most beautiful life moment, and but to also lose someone that you love so much. But thank you for being here, and I do want to talk honestly about isn't that just life to be like so happy, but then also so hard at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
But how old is your baby now?
Thank you, Minnie. I appreciate that so much. It's definitely been a very bittersweet last year. You hear like different things can be true at the same time, and I feel like I've really experienced that joy and that grief really at the same time. And having gone through the holiday season for the first time without my dad was hard, but also so sweet getting to celebrate with Daphne for the first time and see her love the gift wrapping paper more than the actual gift itself. So um uh I've actually so sidetracked. What did you ask
Oh,
me?
no, I was just wondering. So you've been a mom for how long now? When did you have your
Yes,
baby?
Daphne's 6 months old, 6 months and like
6
a
months
week
old.
old at this point. Yes. So, and we're still not sleeping. I did not get a sleeper, but I got the sweetest, most joyful baby. But we just hang out all night.
I
Pretty
love
much.
that.
So,
I love that for you.
yeah.
And that is not me anymore, but I love that for you.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I told you, but we have 4 and they are through the baby stage, but it is I never miss like that is hard because like it's so special to cuddle, but I'm also like I need sleep or I'm going to feel crazy. But yeah, I can only imagine getting through the holidays and I'm really close to my dad too. So when I was watching that from a distance you going through it, I was just like I can't imagine the day that will come, and I'm sure there's lots of reflecting going on as you're thinking through, okay, how do I want family to look? Because did you think, like, I want to spend more time with my family now more than ever after going through that?
I mean, yes, and I think just being based on a different continent as my family, and I think even more so when my daughter was born, my dad really wanted to be here for her birth, but his health just took a turn for the worse, like literally the week of her due date, and so they weren't able to make it and canceled their trip, etc. And my mom also wasn't able to physically be here with me, so just it's moments like that where you just really miss having family close by and miss the joy of family and just the way God created, that support system around us. And so, and I have to say, my parents are divorced. I have two sets of parents. So if that doesn't quite add up. That's how that all worked out. So, but it was so sweet. I think one of the greatest gifts that my dad ever gave me was my stepmom. She is such an amazing woman. She is actually a neuropsychologist and has her PhD in neuropsychology, and she practices till this day. And she's been such a gift in my life. I've known her since I was, a toddler, and she's just had such a great influence in my life. And she actually came and spent the whole month of December with us and spent the holidays with us, which was really just so sweet. So sweet. So,
That's amazing. Yeah, you definitely have a different layer of family dynamics having to go cross continent, you know what I mean, to get across the ocean to see
mm,
family members, which is another a level of effort, I guess I would say, to try and be intentional with
yeah,
your calendar and your time. But
right.
I'll tell you that as I get older, I'm very aware that every day is such a gift with all of the parents and with all of, the family. And if you have good relationship, it's worth the intentionality of try to make it work, even if you have to take an extra time off or whatever to try and make it work. So I love that you're doing that. Well, for those people that aren't maybe as familiar with your work, I do want to brag on you for a second because even I would like to brag on the fact that you've accomplished great things, but that didn't make you like I think most people probably introduce you as all the accolades that you've accomplished, but honestly, to me, what I really respect about you is that you've said, "Hey, like, how can I do like something purposeful with the accolade that I've created?" And so you're not short of any sort of generosity. You're not short of any sort of how can I give back with my message? How can I come alongside women? And I just am in so much awe of the fact that you're like, yes, I have these accomplishments, but it's not what makes me. Like like again, Miss Universe, and all of the organizations you've started and things like that. It's like so impressive. But when it comes to the end of the day, it's like your heart is so much bigger than the impressive things that the world like said, here's a shiny star. You know what I'm saying? And so, first, I really fell in love with the book, A Crown That Lasts. And if people haven't read it, could you touch on the message behind that book and how it kind of came to be in your heart?
Well, Minnie, to be quite honest with you, that book is actually about all the crowns in my life that did not last. And I wrote that book. It really stemmed from a season of having placed so much of my confidence and my worth and my value in something that was never meant to last. And in my case, that was a quite physical crown. Um, I had the opportunity to represent my home country, South Africa, as Miss South Africa at the Miss Universe pageant. And I ended up winning that pageant, which was an incredible honor. My country, South Africa, had not won a Miss Universe title in 39 years at that point. And that was a really great opportunity, but also a big responsibility. And the night I won, I felt like it was a victory, not just for me, but for all of South Africa. For
Amen. It really
any
was.
any young girl or boy that's had a dream to achieve something awesome. And I really felt like that was a victory just for my country, not just for me. So that was such an amazing honor. But Minnie, what happened was I was able to read so many books on, how to become successful, how to achieve your dreams, how to get the thing, how to get the corner office, how to get the degree, how to get the job, how to get the title. In my case, I hired coaches and anything and everything I could find to go and compete at the highest level to ultimately win the Miss Universe pageant. But there were no books or things that set me up or empowered me for the moment where I had to give that thing back, that thing that I'd been working on for so long. And that was honestly, that was the life changing moment. Yes, walking away as Miss Universe, having had that experience was incredible. But the biggest life changing moment was the night where I physically had to give that crown back to the very worthy, very rightful next winner and turn around, and my whole team of people, my manager, social media manager, the full-time lawyer on our team, like the stylist, everyone just literally flocked to the new winner. And I remember walking off that stage just feeling so empty, feeling like I had left something really valuable on that stage. And I remember heading to the airport, kept checking, kept feeling like I forgot something. It's like you go on an international trip and you're like, do I have my passport? Yes. Do I have my
And were you like
passport? Yes.
literally by yourself after that? Like you had a whole people around you and then you left and you're alone?
100% yes. I
Wow.
mean, literally in seconds. So, Tim flew all the way to Thailand to support me as I handed over my title, and there were a couple of friends. But if it had not been for them, I probably went to the airport alone by myself. So it really was such an instant moment that I just really never anticipated or even thought through for a second. And so, with all that to say, that really that moment really sent me spiraling into questioning my worth, my value, my purpose, because I spent so much time focusing on gaining that platform that I ultimately confused that platform for my purpose. And once that fell away, it felt like my purpose fell away, like my value fell away, like my worth fell away, like what I was created to do fell away. And obviously that's not true, but that's what it felt like in that moment. And yeah, to put 70,000 pages in a short summary, that's what A Crown That Lasts is about.
Well, I want to just like pause and identify something that you said because I'm like, oh my goodness, I coach business owners, and I see this happen when they sell their business or retire, or they move like on and they pass it off. And it's like their whole life they've built this business and now it's gone. Does that make sense? Even though they chose for that to be the transition, it's still like, whoa, wait, I didn't realize. And then more close to our hearts probably is the phase of motherhood. Like
Yeah.
I have friends that are sending their kids off to
Hmm.
college or great opportunities. I mean, they did the work. They really raised some amazing people. There's nothing sad about that. But there's a loss that you experience when
Yeah.
that's gone and your whole identity was being a mom,
Hmm. Yeah.
you know?
And
So
I am just 6 months in, and I can totally imagine that, so
yeah,
yes, I mean,
I think
can
that resonates
barely
to
imagine
everyone.
it, but yes. So, but that day comes, and Mindy, it's when we put our when we put our worth and our value in our life circumstances, it's going to eventually send us, probably sooner rather than later, on some roller coaster of emotions. Where that one thing that we valued or that we thought gave us value is no longer there. Whether that's being an empty nester for the first time, or walking into a retirement package, closing out that corner office that you spent so many years climbing that corporate ladder for. At some point, some life circumstance changes, and ultimately we just can't allow that to impact our worth and our value and our purpose.
Absolutely. Well, and this is one of the few platforms in which I go very honest about my faith. And I would just say that for those of you listening and you are possibly going, well, what would be the thing? The crown that lasts that she's referring to is really just your faith in Jesus Christ, and the Bible is full of reminders
Mhm.
of what he says about us. And that's what our value and our worth comes from.
Yeah.
And I would just encourage people to pause, because I will say, in my lowest of lows, when I remember, like, oh, he loves me, he created me, I have value because of that. And that's the theme of that book too, right? It's like that's the thing that lasts. That's the thing that doesn't change regardless of our circumstances.
That's right. That's right. And Mindy, I remember writing A Crown That Lasts and thinking to myself, okay, but what, like you said, what is the thing that lasts? And as a believer, there isn't any one thing that I could pinpoint other than my creator, who is always fixed, never changing, always trustworthy. And there's not really anything else in this life that is always the same, that never changes, and that is always reliable, trustworthy, and the absolute promise keeper, not just a promise maker. And that's where I've had to rely on. That's where I've pulled that value, that worth from, that reminder. Just pouring that truth into my life, knowing that I am created for a specific purpose, and that my creator has set me on this earth for a specific plan. And 1 Corinthians 9:25, Paul writes to the church of Corinth, and he tells us not to chase perishable crowns. And that's exactly what he's referring to. He's basically telling us not to chase crowns that won't last for all of eternity, but to chase crowns that will last for all of eternity. And I can go into a whole lot more of what that means. But for me personally, I've also realized that, yes, we get to do awesome stuff on this side of heaven, and wear Miss Universe crowns, and build successful companies and businesses, and create awesome stuff. But ultimately, the things that are going to last for all of eternity, I think one of those things are the impact that we have on people's lives. That has the opportunity to last for all of eternity, to make an eternal impact. And that's something that I found a lot of value in.
No, I just get excited. Like that's what I'm saying. Is like people are probably like, oh, like there's a crowd of people that get excited about the accolades that we collect. But what I see and I hope people get more excited about is how you've used those moments to propel you into difference making, like in other people's lives. So it's like the thing you achieve, I say it opens a door. Like my husband and I've always said, like talents just open doors.
Yeah.
And so it's not for our glory. It's really just to open the door to share more of his
Yeah.
amazing life changing abilities that God can do, only He can do. So, well, I will tell you this. And my husband always says, don't forget that we've bought so many like tons of the A Crown That Lasts books, because what we want to do is anybody that comments in the show notes and they want one, we will mail them a free copy of your book, A Crown That Lasts.
So
So
sweet. That is
I
so
hope
kind.
that I
Well,
hope
thank
that
you.
people link up with that. Okay, so I would like to just talk about a totally like new phase of your life, being a working mom.
Okay.
And I know it's different, and you're definitely still just in the throes of it. I know you would say I haven't figured it out, because most new moms are like, I'm still figuring it out. But I know you have a lot of mentors too, and you probably have a lot of wise people around you. So you probably have a few good nuggets regarding some things you're trying to implement as a working mom to be able to do it all. You know, they always say like, how do you do it all? That's my number one question, is like, how do you do it all? And I'm like, well, I'm very intentional. Like there's a lot of calendar strategy, I would just say, around my husband and my calendars and travel and home. And I would just love to hear from you as somebody that a lot of people look up to, and your husband Tim too. Like, people just look up to you guys. You have lived such a good life. Your integrity and your reputation precedes you. And so I would be very curious to know, like, what are some things now that you guys are working parents and you added this whole new dynamic to the working relationship? What are some things that are working for you that you're like, this has felt good, and this is the flow that's felt really good, and how we're doing it? This episode is sponsored by Something Blue 30A. Looking for the perfect vacation spot to disconnect from everything, put your feet in the softest sand, and enjoy a fresh, renovated 2-bedroom, 2.5-bath townhouse right on the beach in my favorite place in the world? Well, 30A is situated in the panhandle of Florida, and I'd love for you to check out Something Blue 30A on Instagram and make it the perfect place for your next vacation.
Like I mentioned earlier, I have not gotten a sleeper, so that's been really fun and interesting to navigate, because some days you just are running on fumes, and that's really, really hard. It's been the sweetest season. I maybe rookie mistake, but I had a bunch of speaking events booked pretty much shortly after Daphne was born, and so I really love to follow through on commitments that I've made. But obviously, having had no idea what the postpartum journey would be like, I'd be like, oh, I'll be fine. Well, I was back working 3 weeks after she was born, and Daphne and I were on multiple flights together the first 3 months, and that was hard. And you know what? I think I just had to realize that well, first and foremost, she's my number one priority. And it took some time to just kind of take a step back and to evaluate, hang on a second, like, what is actually the best thing for her and for myself at this point? And I had to slow down a little bit, and I had to pivot, and I had to just really make her and myself the priority. And that took saying no to some opportunities. And, Minnie, it really wasn't even hard, because I knew what the most important thing was that I was supposed to do in that moment. And that was to be her mom, that I get to be her mom. And that is the most valuable thing that I get to be for her, is to be a nurturing, loving, caring mom, even if that meant saying no to other really amazing opportunities. I realized that, I'm going to have such a short period of time where she really needs me this much as an infant. And it was one of the easiest decisions to make, to say, no, hang on a second. Like, we're going to have to pivot. Things can't look the way that they used to look. I can't be traveling as much as I used to travel. It's going to look different. It doesn't mean it's worse or better, or it's different. And that's been really exciting, and it's been good. And I honestly kind of feel like Daphne's really taught me to actually just be still and be in the moment. I remember there was a time where I was trying to get emails done while nursing her, and I realized it was upsetting her, even though I was feeding her and I was getting my emails done. But I realized she just kind of needed me to just be there and, like, really be fully present and hold her hand and just be still with her. And that's been so eye-opening to me. It's been so sweet to me. I feel like it's one of the lessons that she's kind of already taught me. And it's been fun. It's been fun just
I was
getting to
gonna
share.
say, this might be hard to ask as far as like, I don't know how I would answer it either, but what's your filter to your yes?
At this point, it probably looks different to what it used to look like.
Right?
Yeah, but I think Tim and I really, I felt like Tim and I have been a strong team ever since we got engaged and got married, but I've never felt like we've been as strong of a unit like we've been being parents. And that's been so sweet. Um, Kind of makes me emotional. Just the way that he supports me, the way that he has encouraged me, the way that he has allowed me to just really be mom and to really be there for Daphne, has been so incredible. Just all of the ways that he has supported us, and in so many ways. And so I think my filter to my yes is really sitting and really thinking through things with Tim and coming up what is the best thing for our family at this point. Um, and and trying to look at the long run, not just the next week or day or month, but really in the next few years, what impact is this yes going to have on, let's say, our career, our family, but also our biggest goal of loving and serving people that are in their deepest, darkest hour of need. And that's been a big part of my focus. And those are such easy yeses to do, because to give, because it's something so much bigger than just us and ourselves. But there's a higher purpose in that. And I believe that that's a purpose that God has called us
Mhm.
to.
Yeah. No, I mean, I hear what you're saying. It's like, okay, if it resonates with a value, and so we call it value making decision, or decision making based on your values. And so it's like, okay, are we saying yes to something just because it's like, oh, that would be nice to do, or is it actually contributing to the overall purpose of what God has for our family? And
That's,
so like, it's hard to always answer that, like,
yeah.
because sometimes we're like, "Well, I think it does. I think it contributes to what we do or what we stand for." But I have noticed, especially for a lot of good people, that there are so many opportunities. There are so many things we could say yes to,
Mhm.
but are they God thing? Like, we say something and it's a challenge we have to, like, my husband and I, or we're like, "Is that a good thing or a God thing?"
Yeah, that's right.
And, like and
Yeah,
it's like, I don't know that I can always answer it right off the bat, but it definitely challenges me to pray and think about that.
that's
So, like
right. Right.
you said, to be like, "Oh, maybe I just quickly said yes to something when I need to spend a little bit of time discerning if that is really a yes." And we operate more like, hey, like, unity beats disunity. So if one of us is kind of a pause on something, we won't go forward unless we both have a green light.
Yeah.
And so I love that you talked a lot about you and Tim being stronger than you've ever been, because as we add layers, which I mean by that saying like more children, as we add layers to our family, it's more important than ever to be in unity about our yeses, because now it impacts more people.
That's right. Yeah, it's so true. And really something that I feel like I've always valued, but that Tim has really instilled so heavily in our uh, like every sphere of our lives, is truly seeking wisdom and wise counsel, and that's something he's truly taught me how to do. um, and I would say that's something that filters our yeses too, is we pray for clarity every single night when we pray together. At the end of the day, we always pray for clarity on whatever situation is in front of us. And I can't tell you that we've ever had full clarity on everything. But one thing that I do believe we've had is trust, and that's a little something I stole from a mother to Teresa, a man, well, in a really hard time in Mother Teresa's life. She wrote a journal titled The Dark Nights of the Soul. And imagine Mother Teresa writing a journal titled The Dark Night of the Soul, Dark Nights of the Soul.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy, right? I was like, wait, no, surely not Mother Teresa, right? Well, she wrote this, and this was in a really hard time in her life where she felt like she had a really big, just she had a lot of distance from God. She just didn't feel that closeness. And during this phase in her life, a man came up to her one day and asked her to pray for him. And he had a prayer request. And she said, sure, what can I pray for? And he said, please pray for clarity. And she goes, no, I won't. I can't pray for you for clarity because I've never had clarity. But what I've always had is trust. So I will pray that you trust God. And I think that is so true, at least in our lives. I can't say that we've ever had full clarity, but I think sometimes even in the way that you go about discerning about something, there can be a blessing in that. Just in the obedience of truly discerning and seeking that wisdom and wise counsel. Sometimes I feel like there can even just be a blessing in the way that you went about trying to make the best decision possible.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying this episode with Demi Tebow. And I want to remind you that if you go to our show notes, it will send you to a link for a free copy of her book, A Crown That Lasts. And we have limited supplies, so make sure you grab it while they last. It's one per household, and we can't wait for you to enjoy the rest of the episode. So good. It's so good. Speaking again, just hopping around, speaking about okay, the things that you do have a heart for. I'm just thinking you guys do so much. I don't know if our listeners even are aware of, all the different ways that you come alongside people in some of their darkest hours. Like the title of that book made me think of that. It was between you and Tim. And I'm curious, Demi, if you could share what is your role in some of the work that you guys are doing. If you could speak to kind of how you impact and use some of your knowledge and skills to help that work.
Yeah. Well, Mindy, I think one of the things that's been so sweet is how Tim and I were really aligned before we ever even met. When we first met, I was a girl from a small town in South Africa that literally when I moved to the United States was my first time ever on American soil. I had never seen the movie Braveheart. Tim had really never watched pageants. We had two different first languages. Literally grew up in two different. Had so much that just weren't the same. And so we always joke and say that we actually didn't have a lot in common when we first met, which there's more to that joke because I think it's actually very true. We had to learn to like certain things together, but thankfully you can learn to play golf or pickleball together, but it's a whole lot harder to learn to have purpose together. And even though we didn't have a lot of in common at first, I felt like we had so much in purpose. And I had a little sister that was born to my mom and my dad and my stepmom. Her name was Franya, and she was born with severe special needs. And Franya ended up passing away shortly after her 13th birthday. But her life opened my eyes to what families and people with special needs and disabilities go through and what they face, and how secluding it can feel and can be. And I think it gave me just a heart for people that I probably would not have had a heart for if it had not been for my sister. Understanding, just being able to not just sympathize but empathize with people. And turns out Tim has been serving people just like my little sister all over the world, long before we ever even met. And that was one way that we connected from the get-go. And another thing that really connected us was shortly after I was crowned Miss South Africa. I was in an attempted carjacking, held at gunpoint, and to make a long story short, it was a very traumatic, violent incident. But I was able to get away from that situation unharmed, which I'm so thankful for.
It's a total miracle. When you tell that story, I'm always like, how did she survive?
I'm so grateful that I did, but it opened my eyes to learning about so many people that don't, and that don't get away. And I have no idea what my perpetrator's intent was. They were unfortunately never caught. And till this day, I have no idea what their intention was. I just know that it was not good. And that incident just served as a catalyst in my life to opening my eyes about something I didn't know existed in the year 2017. I always thought, human trafficking is something that happens some other country, somewhere far away, not here, not in my backyard, community, country, etc. No, it's somewhere, some other place. And that just really snowballed to me learning about an evil that I didn't know existed. And fast forward, what's it now, 8, 9 years. It's one of my greatest honors to get to serve alongside Tim and the Tim Tebow Foundation, to fight for some of the most vulnerable people on this planet. And Tim and I truly believe that the fight against human trafficking is one of the greatest evils that we face in this day and age. And it is one of my greatest honors to be able to be a voice, an advocate for people that are stuck in one of the greatest evils.
I mean, I'd love for people to just give us a little snapshot. 2026, what's going on in the Tim Tebow Foundation right now? What do you? I mean, I know you guys are all over the world. I get to read about it, but I just would love for people to hear what's happening with the organization right now.
Yeah, we're so honored to get to serve in over 100 countries. Night to Shine is coming up. It is our worldwide celebration for people, just like my little sister Franya. We roll out the red carpet, and at the end of the night, every single guest and honored guest gets crowned either the king or the queen of the prom. And we do that not because we want to uh, just show all of our honored guests how loved and valued they are by us, but we hope that that is a reminder to them that in the eyes of the God of this universe, that they are seen as royalty, and that they were created with value and with worth, and that they are loved and that they are worthy. And so Night to Shine will be celebrated, was celebrated last year in over 850 countries and growing. Not countries, locations, I'm sorry. 850 locations in over 60 countries, and that's coming up the Friday before Valentine's Day. So it's in every state around the country. So if you know of somebody that would like to attend, go and look up on the website. It will show you just
There's a
where
location near you, I'm sure of
there's
it.
a location near you. Yes, so please don't miss out. It truly is our favorite night of the year, Night to Shine. That's coming up, and then we get to serve in so many different ways. But yes, Night to Shine is definitely one of the biggest focuses that we have right now. And then, of course, our fight against human trafficking, alongside serving children with profound medical needs, orphan care and prevention. I can talk so
And
much about.
even finding the human trafficking and I mean, like, the type of investigative work you guys do as well. Like, I got to hear some stories of all the ways that you come from the beginning to the end, support the people involved in that. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, Mindy, something that's really important to us is to look at the problem from, like, on a holistic perspective. We partner with field experts, we partner with law enforcement, we partner with, um, everybody that is an expert in this field to try and solve and tackle the problem on a holistic basis, whether that is from intervention to long-term restoration. And then another layer that I don't think a lot of people probably know about at this point is the child exploitation that so many children face. And that is so dark because it's hidden and it's not in plain sight. And a lot of times that happens in the child's own home. Human trafficking is not a cross state or a cross border problem. It's a people problem, and people can be trafficked in their own homes. And it's really sad when you look at the statistics on how many people are actually trafficked by somebody that was actually supposed to protect them, a family member, a friend, a boyfriend, a parent, a step parent. And that really is so eye-opening, because human trafficking does not mean that somebody has to be moved or taken away in order to be trafficked.
Mhm. Mhm. It's so amazing. Like, I come to tears every time I hear your husband speak about it. He's really he and you as well. You guys are just so good at communicating the realities of this evil, like you said. I mean, that's truly what it is. And I love the work you're doing. I just want to say thank you for doing it. If anybody feels compelled to support or get engaged with that, I think they should absolutely go to your website. What's the website for the Tim Tebow organization?
Yeah, it's timtebowfoundation.org.
Okay. I love that. Definitely. I think more people would be interested. Okay. Just a couple more questions here that are kind of a little lighter, a little more fun, but like, I am curious. in the life of Demi. I love that you gave us a little sneak peek that every night you guys pray together. I love that. But do you have any other like daily routine things that you do to just make sure that you stay on top of your game when it comes to, hey, I want to like be healthy physically, spiritually, emotionally, and connected to my daughter and also get my work done? Like in the daily, like do you drink matcha? Do you have a like a rest? Do you do push-ups in between meetings? I don't know. Like I'm like, what does some of your daily life look like to just stay with it?
Um, well, I think we have like an ideal list, and then like if we get some of that ideal list done, that's a win. And then so there's, actually when Tim and I are home together, which isn't always often. We're kind of in just a really busy, silly season, also football season coming to an end. So, but when we're home, our date days kind of look like health reset days. So when we do have a day home, we love to go and get in an infrared sauna, just really detox, get some red light therapy, get out in the sunshine, get some vitamin D, some real vitamin D, go on a walk, take our dogs on a walk. Getting outside is so important to me, just moving our bodies. If we can get a workout in, that's always great and helpful. And it helps that I have my own full-time personal trainer and my husband. So,
I know, like you kind of have you are a little hooked up in that department.
yes, definitely locked out. But many other than that, something that we just really focus on is, and once again, this is probably something that I really learned from Tim, having been, one being having been a professional athlete, but also I think he just truly cares so much about um, the body that God gifted him with, and to be able to steward and look after that. And I used to have the craziest sweet tooth, and now I literally can't stand sugar anymore. I just made a decision to cut it out of my diet completely, any refined sugar. And I have really stuck to that. And during my pregnancy, it was just a decision that I made for Daphne, but also for myself. And that was the easiest. And now that she's here, I just actually really can't even stand sugar. It's like my body just completely rejects it. It gives me a headache. And I was like, wow, this is just, it used to impact me probably so much more than I actually realized. And to focus on protein, just really getting enough protein in our diet. That's something that's those two things. I've really just tried cutting out any refined sugar and really making
I
sure
mean,
I
it
eat
really
protein.
does have a bad impact on our clarity, like praying for it, but it's like,
Maybe
okay, we
you can make the argument for carbs, you can make an argument for vegetables, you can make an argument for protein, but there just is no argument for sugar that I feel like that wins, right? Like refined sugar. Like now, do I eat dates and fruits and honey? Yes, I do. But just any refined sugar.
so just because I am curious, like what's your go-to protein?
I absolutely love Taylor Duke's Wellness. Her protein powders are amazing. They're made of bone broth. They have like two or three ingredients in them. They are so clean. And the fact that they're made from bone broth, I know it sounds funny, but it actually is so gentle on, I feel like my digestive system, where all the ways and a lot of the proteins I felt like just don't sit well with me. So yes, if you're talking about a protein powder, and then other than
Yeah.
that,
I mean, what about like, do you like to, what food do you really love for high protein?
I grew up in South Africa. I'm a steak girl, so I'm a barbecue girl. I love grilling. I actually love grilling myself. It's one of the things my dad taught me. He never had a son, so I just learned how to grill with my dad, and it's just something we love doing together. And so I actually probably am the better griller in the family, if I could say that.
I
He would be
am
fine with this. He doesn't
tracking what
really.
you're saying.
So, yeah, I'm a steak girl.
I
We
love that. Okay, that's so funny.
actually ended up splitting. This sounds so funny. We actually ended up splitting a cow with one of our friends because one, it was just grass fed, no weird stuff in it, from a local farm nearby. And well, I did not realize how much meat you get from half a cow. I think we actually just recently finished all the ground beef that came with that. So it's like,
How long did it take you to eat?
um, well, it's just Tim and I, so it probably took us about 6 months, but I will say that we were traveling a whole lot in those
A lot.
6 months. So we weren't always fully home, but yes, lots of good steaks.
Well, I'll tell you, okay, so we live in Colorado and my husband hunts. And so, with our boys, they go hunting and we try to fill the freezer every winter because I have high school football players to me and they
Yes.
eat so much. I remember the other day, my oldest, he ate like a steak, 2 pork chops, like he scrambled a dozen eggs and he was just like, I'm just still hungry. And I couldn't stop him because I was like, it's all healthy things that
Yeah.
he's eating.
Yeah.
And we try to recommend no sugar, low sugar to our kids and they're listening, some of them better than others. But yeah, it's like I think the way you're talking about meat to purchase is a much more economical way, but also a healthier way because you're getting an organic cow. And as long as you have a deep freezer, it's a really great way to eat meat.
Yeah, that's right.
I love that. And okay, well, as we wrap up, again, I want to recommend people like definitely connect with you, whether that's via social, even though I know some people are like, oh, social media is not real. I know you well enough from following you that you try to be so authentically you on your social media account and talk about like what you're doing, what you're working on and why. So I would say this is one of those positive accounts to put in your feed. Definitely follow the feed. But I also want to remind them you have these awesome books coming up. You have, or well, the one that just came out, the devotional. Okay. Do you want to say anything about this? Because we didn't really talk about this one.
Go for it.
I was like, this one, knowing who you are because of who God is 100 days devotional. And it's beautiful, but it's also really, really encouraging. However, what we bought a ton of these books, A Crown That Lasts. And I just want to say, like, you're gorgeous. I mean, I know you are, but like this picture, you are so beautiful, but outside and inside, which I love. And I will just say, like, you guys, if you comment in the show notes, we'd be happy to send you a free copy because we just really love the message that it holds. And I hope that moms, business owners, girls that follow me or whatever, that you guys hear my heart. It's like, I do want to be excellent in all I do. I want to achieve a lot of great things while I'm on earth for God's glory. Like I want to do it because the talent opens the door for so many lives being impacted. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there's somewhere on the Tim Tebow Foundation website, but when you think about, okay, like Tim's success and Demi's success is now being able to open the door to multiply the impact. I mean, you probably have on your website how many millions of people have been able to be served or loved on or cared for because people believe in your mission and they've linked up with you and you have a whole team now saying like, let's make a difference in this world. And it's like, it's so great to be able to use your success on purpose. So I just want to say thank you for being one of those people that from afar I've been able to just admire and be inspired by. And as you journey as a mom, as a working mom too, I can't wait to see you do that as well because everything you put your hand to has been pretty remarkable. So thank you for being here today.
Mindi, I really appreciate you. It was so fun catching up with you.
Yes, absolutely. I hope you have an awesome 2026 and let's make it a good one. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the show, rate, review, and share with a friend. Also, follow The Something New Show on Instagram and Facebook. If you want a fuller experience, watch the show on YouTube to help you create a life worth celebrating.